Cordelius is the newest chromatic brawler coming to the game, so he'll be available at tier 30 of the Brawl Pass. He's a gardener at Star Park, but apparently the enchanted forest had a little too much toxic fumes and made him go crazy. Somehow this allowed Cordelius to harness the power of mushrooms and use them to fight with opponents and even transport them to an alternate dimension.
Mushroom power! Doom shroom!
I'll show the rest of his voice lines at the end of this video. Let's cover Cordelius' basic abilities, but make sure you guys subscribe for the Doug sneak peek as well, and put hashtag subbed before 1 mil in the comment section below. It's getting very close. Cordelius' main attack is called mushrooms. That's all it is. He fires 2 mushrooms with each ammo one after the other, and this is very similar to like Stu's main attack or even Meg's main attack when she's outside of her mecha. The mushrooms can't pierce through targets and they don't explode, so they can only hit 1 target at a time. Cordelius' super is "This is my domain," and this, honestly, this is one of the craziest supers in the game. He fires a giant mushroom, and if it hits an opponent, then both his enemy and Cordelius get transported to the Shadow Realm, and that is the official name for it. It is the Shadow Realm, and everything on the map disappears except Cordelius and the brawler that he hits, and they will remain in the Shadow Realm until one of them is defeated or the timer runs out. Now, gems and gem grab, the Brawl Ball, the high safe, hot zones, even mine carts are all removed in the Shadow Realm. It just becomes a one-on-one fight between Cordelius and his enemy. And it's not going to be an easy fight for his opponent because Cordelius also gets a movement speed boost and a reload speed boost, so he always has a really good chance of defeating whoever he's 1v1ing. On top of that, the Shadow Realm also prevents brawlers from using their supers or gadgets. Cordelius can fire his super through walls, but if the super misses, it'll be wasted. Interestingly enough, friendly brawlers will be able to see where their teammates are while they are in the Shadow Realm, but they will not be able to see where enemies are. So the enemy really could use that as an opportunity to just like move into a bush or pop up in a surprising place. Cordelius' first gadget is replanting. The gadget simply allows Cordelius to hop over a wall or a small pond. Even though it says the gadget is used to hop over walls, it can be used to just jump into the air and dodge an attack, which is pretty cool. It's basically Brock's gadget or Eve's gadget, except it doesn't leave anything behind or deal any kind of damage. Cordelius' second gadget is Poison Mushroom. This makes his next attack just be one big mushroom, and that will deal all of its damage and disable the target it hits from attacking for 1.5 seconds. So it's very similar to Otis's super, it's just not very long. Keep in mind that this does not interrupt a brawler that is already attacking, it just stops them from unloading any ammo. Cordelius' first star power is Combo Shrooms. If Cordelius hits the same target with both projectile from his main attack, then the second projectile deals an extra 30% damage. If only one projectile hits a target or each projectile hits a different target, you will not get the damage boost. But this star power works on all targets, not just brawlers, so like it's really good against the high safe. Cordelius' second star power is the Mushroom Kingdom star power. Every time Cordelius enters the Shadow Realm, this star power spawns 3 mushrooms at random spots that will heal himself over time if he picks it up, and it deals damage over time if the enemy accidentally picks them up. Now, these mushrooms only exist inside the Shadow Realm, so brawlers that are outside the realm won't be able to see them or pick them up at all. Now, Cordelius has the same trait that Buzz has. He always has a ring surrounding him that will slowly charge his super if there are enemies inside of it. The more enemies that are inside the ring, the faster it charges. Now that we know a little bit more about how Cordelius works, it is time to put him through the tests, starting with his worst test. And that worst test is the Swarm test. Cordelius' attack can only hit 1 target at a time, and neither his super or his gadget help deal any additional damage to the bots, so he has to take them all out just one at a time. It takes him 29.8 seconds to clear the Swarm, which puts him in 67th place overall out of the 69 brawlers in the game. Next, we have the Area test. Cordelius' attack and super are both wide enough to take out 2 rows of skulls, so his attack destroys 10 and his super destroys 18. Since neither of his gadgets are able to break any skulls, he breaks 28 in total, which puts him in 61st place and suggests he's not that great at area control. Next is the attack range test. Cordelius' attack reaches 5 1/3 tiles, which is the same range as the ring around him that charges his super, so you're always going to know if somebody's within range of him. He ties with Hank and Mortis for 58th place when it comes to attack range. Next is the super damage test. Now, Cordelius' super doesn't deal any damage by itself, so he ties with 12 other brawlers for 57th place. Next is the splash test. As we saw in the Swarm test, Cordelius has no abilities to allow him to attack more than 1 box at a time, but his attack is actually really strong, so it starts to break through them pretty quickly towards the end. He finishes in 47.9 seconds and gets 57th place. Next is the auto aim test. Cordelius doesn't have a very far range to begin with, and his attacks isn't really fast enough to successfully auto aim at max range. Only 1 projectile hits, so he's able to deal 1090 damage damage from 3 tiles away, which puts him at 50th place. So he's not going to be that great at auto aiming, which is something to consider because he is a close range brawler. Next is the 1 second DPS test. And honestly, I thought he was going to do better in this test because he's kind of a close range assassin, right? Cordelius is able to unload 4 projectiles in 1 second. 2 of those projectiles get a damage boost from his first star power, so he deals 5,014 damage in total and ties with M's for 47th place. Next is the box test, and there are actually the same amount of boxes in this test as there are in the splash test, so it actually takes him the same amount of time for him to complete this test. He takes 40th place in this test, so that suggests he's not going to be that great at ramping up in Showdown. However, his super is really weird, so I don't know for sure. Next is the boss test. Cordelius quickly charges his super and then keeps the boss in the Shadow Realm until it's defeated, since that actually increases his reload speed while inside the realm. His gadgets are no help to him in this test, so he relies on his main attack, which is actually pretty strong, and defeats the boss in 55.3 seconds and gets 37th place. That doesn't sound that great. However, that's actually really good for a brawler that can only use his attack in this test. Next is the super range test. Cordelius' super reaches across 9 1/3 tiles, which is almost twice as long as his main attack. He actually ties with Griff, Ruffs, Edgar, and Gus for 36th place when it comes to super range. Those were his worst tests, and from this point on, he's better than more than half of the brawlers in the game. Starting off with the assassin test. Cordelius takes the boss to the Shadow Realm to increase his reload speed, so he's able to hit the boss with 8 projectiles. Half those projectiles have a damage boost, so he deals 10,028 damage in 3 seconds and gets 33rd place. Next, we have the 3 attack kill test, and without his first star power, Cordelius deals 6,530 damage with 3 attacks. But with his star power equipped, the damage goes to 7,521. That is enough to take out 62 brawlers in the game out of 69, and that puts him in 24th place. Next, we have the survival test. Now, I don't allow brawlers to use abilities that dodge the sniper bot's attacks, but his second gadget actually disables the bot from attacking for a moment. He also uses his second star power to spawn some mushrooms that give him a little bit of extra health, and he's able to survive for 24.7 seconds, and that puts him in 23rd place. Next is the race test, and Cordelius immediately goes into the Shadow Realm, where his movement speed is increased, and he already has a very fast movement speed to begin with, so he actually moves like very fast. In fact, it's so fast that using his first gadget would actually slow him down, so it's better for him to not use it at all. By the time he leaves the Shadow Realm, he's basically across the finish line and finishes in 9.6 seconds. That puts him in 18th place, which is very impressive for a brawler that doesn't have like a jump ability or something like that. Next, we have the supercharge test. And I had to start this test right after using his super, since he can't actually hit anyone with his attack if they're outside of his supercharging ring. It looks like each projectile charges his super 25%, which means he can fully charge it with just 2 ammo. Cordelius completes this test in exactly 1 second, which puts him in 12th place for supercharging test. It suggests he's going to be able to charge up his super a little bit more frequently. However, he has a super short range, so that's probably not super accurate. Up next is the reload test. Now, normally Cordelius has a reload speed of 1.67 seconds, which is the 13th fastest reload speed in the game. It's a little faster than Buzz's reload speed and a little bit slower than BB's, but using his super, he's able to increase his reload speed to 1.4 seconds, which is the 8th fastest reload speed in the game. It's actually very slightly faster than El Primo's and Nita's reload speeds for reference, and this places him in 8th for the reload test. So he's pretty much always going to have ammo when he wants it. Those are all the tests except for one where he gets first, and that's the 1v1 test, because no other brawler can force a 1v1 like he can. So there we go. He gets first for that. He's a really weird brawler, and honestly, I've got a lot of thoughts. So let's talk about how strong I think he's going to be in each game mode. Starting off with Gem Grab, we're going to put him in the A tier temporarily, okay? He doesn't really have the range to maintain a lot of map control, but using his super on an enemy gem carrier seems like it could quickly change the game. Even if he doesn't hit the gem carrier with his super, just using the Shadow Realm to sneak up on a gem carrier also seems very effective. And I think it's his super that is going to make him an A tier brawler for Gem Grab. For Brawl Ball, we're going to put him in the B tier. Brawl Ball is interesting because the Brawl Ball actually just disappears whenever he hits somebody with his super. So if he is trying to defend and there's 3 enemies or whatever, and he hits the person with the ball, that one person will drop the ball, but then he's not there to defend. The other 2 enemies will still be able to make a shot, right? So like he can't use his super in those situations. The only time that he can is when it's just one person coming towards the ball. And so like, it's really odd and interesting. If he does send the right brawler to the Shadow Realm, even if he doesn't defeat the brawler, it could still be really useful for allowing his teammates to like score in a 2v2 situation. So I feel like B tier is probably good for him. Maybe even A tier though. Next we have Heist, and I'm going to put him in the A tier. I definitely think that Cordelius has enough DPS with his first star power equipped to be a really good Heist brawler. Also, his super allows him to just like easily get to the other side of the map, so he'll be able to constantly put pressure to the enemy safe. And if there's somebody that's really dangerous on your safe, all he has to do is use his super, and all of a sudden the safe disappears, and that person can't deal damage to the safe, and that allows Cordelius time to actually be able to deal damage to them and take them out. For bounty, I'm gonna put him in the B tier. Even though Cordelius does have the ring that automatically charges his super around him, most bounty brawlers won't allow him to get close enough to actually utilize that. However, if he is able to charge it, one super on the right enemy could quickly turn the game around, which is why I think that he does deserve B tier. Next, we have Hot Zone, and I'm gonna go with B tier for this as well. It's very similar to Brawl Ball. The fact that the Hot Zone actually disappears whenever he uses his super means that he cannot charge the Hot Zone. Then again, neither can the opponent. So it's kind of like a toss-up. You're gonna have to rely on your teammates if you're gonna play him in the Hot Zone. And another thing to keep in mind is the fact that he just doesn't have the range to keep control of a zone by himself on most maps. But on certain maps, he really could be amazing. So B tier is at least good for him. When it comes to knockout, he is 100% an S tier brawler, okay? That's gonna be his best game mode, because even if the brawler he sends into the Shadow Realm doesn't get defeated, Cordelius will be able to sneak up on other brawlers and assassinate them. I would say it's risky since you can't see the enemies until he's out of his shadow, but his second gadget can get him out of any like really scary situation. But even then, he's more dangerous up close, so it's more likely that he's going to be the brawler that actually does well in those situations. I think the S tier is very justified for him in Knockout. I can't wait to play him in Knockout. Next, we got Solo Showdown, and I don't know where to put him here, okay? I'm going to say C tier. I think it could be stronger. The fact that most Solo Showdown interactions are 1v1s, except for teaming later on, but like early on, it's usually 1v1, means that his super doesn't give him the advantage that it typically would, because what you don't want to have happen is to like force a 1v1 by using his super and then kill the enemy brawler and pop up somewhere where there is another opponent and you're out of ammo and you're low on HP because you just had a 1v1. Then again, this is the only ability that strictly just deletes teaming because it singles one other player out. And so like maybe he's actually a B tier. He could be S tier in Solo Showdown. This is gonna be interesting. Duo Showdown, I'm gonna say is a little bit better. I'm gonna put him in the B tier. And a big reason why Duo Showdown is better for him is because it's no longer just a 1v1 situation. It actually forces you into a situation where it is two 1v1s. Cordelius versus an opponent and your teammate versus their teammate, right? So if you are paired with a brawler that's really good in 1v1 situations, then this absolutely could be a situation where like Cordelius is a great partner to have. He really has one of the most unique abilities that we've ever seen in the game so far, and I honestly just cannot wait to play him. He's so cool looking. I really wish that this was the season I was gonna be able to get with my free-to-play account, but either way, this is the season that you want to buy if you're able to spend money on the game, and please use code Kairos when you do, because this is he's a really cool brawler.
Who's a fun guy? Me! Time for the Shroom and Doom Show! Prepare to be find-your-find! Time for truffle! Mushy, mushy mushrooms! Spores of destruction! Spread your love! Fungal fury! Doom Shroom! Wee mushroom! Fly, my shroomies! Shimmy mushroom! Fungi fiend! Spoil you later, alligator! Time to turn over a new leaf! Mushroom! Going back to my roots! Pushing up the daisies! Put a cap on it! No! Don't touch my shrooms! Mind the plants! Mushroom! You prickly person! Thorn in my side! I better go hide! Tremendous pain! You're not mold enough! You are going on the compost pile! You're more bark than bite! Friends! Mushroom power! Never trust a shroom in a raincoat. Getting rid of the bad seeds. Shroom! I'm running? I thought I was hallucinating. Wow, look at all those colors. Just leave me alone. Doing it for the shrooms. To reap what you sow. Too rare to live, too rare to die. Mushroom, 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 mushroom. A shroom, and a shroom, and a mush, and a mush, and a wee.
I want to know what you guys' thoughts are, so let me know in the comment section below. I would really appreciate you guys subscribing. Make sure you let me know that you've been here before 1 million subscribers, because after 1 million, you'll never be able to say it again. And for real, thank you guys so much for all your support. I really appreciate it. You guys can check this other sneak peek right here where I go into the detail of the drop rates for star drops. And for now, this is KairosTime ticking by. We'll see you in Brawl Stars.